Welcome to the Room of Lives. I'm your host, Neil. In this final part of my conversation with Khristián, who is a director and PhD student of theater, he shares his thoughts on whether he feels at home in Guatemala and the US. And we conclude with his observations on awareness as an artistic process. So I want to know a little bit, okay, so what I have noticed is that, like you pointed out, I've noticed that you're really good at imbibing language and culture. But does it feel so integrated for you from the inside? Like in the United States, do you feel at home?
Not really, but it's less to do. I think more and more for me, like home is other people, and the type of relationships where you really are comfortable. I think you need to let yourself make a home in different places, and I don't think I've let myself do it. I mean, to the point that I just bought furniture for the first time in 9 months. I think that speaks in 9 years. That speaks to my desire to not really want to make a home for myself here. I think if I wanted to, I probably could have. I don't really want to. And so, but I also don't know that there are a lot of places. I think I have felt at home in certain places for some time, but because the experience, I have had the experience of nesting somewhere and losing that place. I don't think I really let myself do that. I mean, I've settled down, like I like my room here in Seneca, but like culturally, and I notice it, I think I just know how to swim with it really well, but like I notice it when I do have it, when I have conversations, and it's just like, oh, that feels really good to talk about that thing or to watch this. Like I find myself kind of disinterested in the movies that we watch here because they're like just not my heritage, but also like I don't watch a lot of Guatemala, so like I don't know, I have it. To me, that has to do more with like you making yourself vulnerable to people, and I haven't really felt the desire to do that. In a lot of ways, and so no, but not for any reason. I think, I mean, I haven't feel like the environment has allowed me to do it, but I also haven't really focused on that because I've been so focused on my work. These past few years, so
But you told me that there was a time when you couldn't wait to get out of Guatemala. Does it feel now like you would want to go back there, or does it still feel like you want to?
By the time I wanted to get out of Guatemala, it didn't really feel like home to me anymore, and so I felt more trapped. And so I think I want to go back there because of specific people. If I've always said that, like, if I didn't have a family there, I would not feel any kind of allegiance or tie to wanting to go back. I would do it, but I would not. It would not be a thing I want to do. So that's why I'm like, to me, it's more the food and the weather. I love the weather. But I'm not particularly attached to like any one version of it. Also because like I think it would be a lot easier if I was better at like if I didn't honor like the parts of me that are more complex, like I think we all should, I think it would be a lot easier to be like, yes, I can be comfortable here, I can fit here. But I think I'm just more aware about all the ways that I don't fit in there or here or in Maine or in India. I'm more aware about the ways that I don't than in the ways that I could. And that's more of like, I think, my mindset.
So, and you're acknowledging that, and you're like, okay, no, this is real.
Exactly. So
that makes sense, because oftentimes I feel like we suppress those parts of ourselves in order to try to belong.
Right. And I think you have to. I mean, it's like living in a co-op. Like, I think you have to make compromises. Because also, if you lived in your perfect world, there would be nobody in it. Because if we all lived in our perfect world,
there would be little bits of different people in it.
or not even that. And even that's not a full person, so you get bored with that. I think that's why video games are so interesting. It's like, because you can make them these like artificial worlds where you get certain things, but they're not, the pushback that you get from them it's less, you know.
Yeah.
And so they're more pleasant, they're more palatable.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, final question.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness as an artistic process.
Oh yeah, and I think I'm interested in that because all the things I said about science, like naturalism, I think this is true of science communication as well, but like maybe I'm conflating it with awareness. But I think the reason I love theater is because it's one of the few things you can do in life where you can know that something both is and isn't true. So like a plastic gun is a plastic gun, and it's the gun that my actor's gonna shoot herself with. And it's not double consciousness in the Marxist sense of like you embrace something that is shitty, but you embrace it because you've been told that it's good for you. Like it's not a full-on lie. It's just, it's both a lie and a truth. And I think theater in that sense is fascinating because it does allow you to have at least those two layers of meaning. And then depending on what you're working with, it's those two and like 3, 4, 5 other layers of meaning as well. And so I just don't think audiences, I think that's part of why it's so appealing to us, because it allows us to add other layers of meaning to other parts of our life. And like meaning, I think, is what helps us get through the day and through hard things. Like that's a lot of towards where therapy is going to, is like narrative theory. It's like, how do you make meaning of your story, regardless of what or in conversation with the information you've been told about it? How do you make sense of your condition or of your loss or your grief, your trauma, your life? And so I think theater in that sense can be an invitation for an audience to build their own consciousness. And that's, I think, why I'm so interested in like looking at them at everyday things like a telephone or The Simpsons with like this added layer, because it makes you aware that there are layers. And so then if you keep the exercise long enough, I think you realize that that there's just a lot of layers of meaning. And that I think the important part of that for me is that it allows you to choose what parts of like where you focus your energy. And maybe it's just more awareness than it is consciousness. I don't know. But to me, I'm less interested in telling people how to live their lives, and more like all of us, myself included, like being more aware of ourselves and not even in a meditative way, but also in like a collective way. Like that because I feel like a lot of things I've read about awareness are about like be aware of your own feelings and be aware of your own body, and like that's stuff that I need to work on more. But I also think there's a type of collective awareness where like you can't know what other people are thinking, you can't know what's going to happen, but you know you're there with other people, and there's something in that, like just realizing that you're in an uncertainty with other people that was very close to the pandemic. But I think it makes life a little bit more bearable, because without that meaning then you go and you have consciousness or awareness, then you go into like existentialism. You're like, well, it's all made up, nothing matters, what's the point? We're all like, hell is other people, what I mean? Like,
do even other people even exist?
Exactly.
Like I never know if it's if there's even a different point of view.
Exactly. So yeah. Those are my 2 cents.
Yeah. Cool.
Consciousness as artistic, but I don't think I've spoken about myself for this long forever.
Yeah.
So thank you for making the space.
Yeah, that was great. Okay. I'm glad you joined us today in the Room of Lives. Take care. Until next time.